Welcome to Independently Speaking, the podcast from the Independent Schools Association. ISA supports head teachers and staff across a wide variety of independent schools. Join us for a new episode as we explore the world of independent education, sharing insights from school leaders and discussing the challenges and opportunities shaping our sector. Here is your host, Director of Education and Inclusion, Helen Stanton-Tonner.
Welcome to the ISA podcast, Independently Speaking. I'm your host, Helen Stanton-Tonner, the Director of Education and Inclusion for ISA. Today, we're taking a very special walk through ArtsEd, an independent performing arts school in Chiswick, renowned for combining world-class artistic training with academic excellence. We're going to be exploring how the school nurtures creativity, how it builds confidence, and prepares its students for both careers on stage and the broader professional pathways. We'll also be getting a first-hand sense of the unique atmosphere here, the energy, the buzz, and the sense of community that comes from students learning, rehearsing, and performing all in one vibrant space. Now, to guide us around today, around the campus, and offer insight into the school's ethos, curriculum, and vibrant student life, I'm delighted to be joined by Peter Middleton, Head Teacher of ArtsEd. Today, we'll be taking a close look at how arts and academics seamlessly come together here, experiencing the energy, the creativity, and the community that makes ArtsEd so unique. Thank you so much for letting us join you today, Peter.
Well, a very warm welcome to you, Helen, and thank you for joining me at ArtsEd. It's a privilege indeed to have you here, so thank you.
Now, Peter, ArtsEd has been around since 1919, is that correct?
Yes, ArtsEd history began as two schools. First of all, founded in 1919, one of them by Grace Cohn and one founded by Olive Rippman in 1922. And they merged in 1939 to form the Cohn-Rippman School. And that was renamed as the Arts Educational Schools in 1947. And that combined vocational training in the performing arts with an academic education, a model that still continues here today in Chiswick on the London campus. We've got notable figures here in the past like Alicia Markova and Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber, who continues to be involved today. And its alumni, of course, speak for themselves, but not just in history, but now, currently. And I think Natalie Barham, our Director of Performing Arts, will give you an insight into those later.
And obviously there's areas that make ArtsEd really unique, especially in the world of performing arts. Could you let us know some of those?
Yeah, this is all about the day school and the sixth form being very distinctive in the ArtsEd curriculum. This refers to the world-class vocational training, but that's integrated within a really strong academic education and a caring environment. And our ethos of pastoral care enables and empowers students to develop a broad, balanced and enhanced set of skills for deep-seated confidence within that.
And you very kindly wrote an article for the ISA, and there you describe ArtsEd as having a sort of unique buzz. And to be honest, from walking through the door, the atmosphere is very present. Now, this energy obviously is created by academic lessons and performing arts happening side by side. And for listeners who've never really visited here, how would you capture that atmosphere in words?
I think it stems from a cacophony of sound and energy of the simultaneous academic lessons and the performing arts training that take place throughout the day, and it ebbs and flows at different stages. I could be sitting in my study here next door having a ballet lesson to Swan Lake. Over the corridor here, a group of 8 students doing Pinball Wizard in 8 parts, a cappella, and then a musical theatre group doing Cats down below, and then above me a tap class taking place. And just outside my window, which probably is unique for a head teacher, only less than a metre away, I have a glass window which shows the transparent leadership within ArtsEd, and I can see the students going about their business and actually individually rehearsing bits or just relaxing in a bit of downtime.
And you've mentioned the ArtsEd ethos, and how does that really shape the students' experience?
The exceptional vocational training here is delivered by committed creative professionals, and they inspire that passion for performance that feeds into all aspects of those young people's education and their personal development. they're encouraged within that to develop independent learning, independent thought, and in the process promote the Arts Ed 6 values, which are at the heart of all that we do: aspiration, resilience, teamwork, self-discipline, empathy and drive. But during their journey here with us, they explore who they are. And that is a journey for them, where their values are, but also what their aspirations. And during this, they become quintessentially more of themselves. There's not a clone here. They're able to become more of themselves. And the inspectors hit the nail on the head when they were here recently. And they said our students can be their natural selves. And that is so important.
Obviously, that's important for any young person today, but is it particularly important within the arts?
I think it allows you to have that expression, that individual expression. We take that into all that we do in terms of the creative experiences they do within the performing arts, but also into shaping the curriculum as well. So, for example, in the film studies work that they're doing, they end up getting involved in discussing which films they want to study because of their own personal involvement. Perhaps one of them might have been filming in something or been on stage, and they will then look at that particular bit or consider aspects that they consider to be important. So they're having a direct involvement in their education.
And what would a typical day in the life of an Arts Ed student look like?
Well, for some of them, it starts really early in the morning. Some of our students travel a significant distance and for up to 2.5 hours in one direction. But with this in mind, we recently restructured the day so that it starts just before 8:30 and ends at 4:15 in the afternoon. And only very rarely will we have a rehearsal that goes beyond that, or indeed if that goes outside of into weekends. But that means necessarily the days are very busy. And most mornings I will meet all the students on the doorstep of the school. It's wonderful to see them arrive, but also at the same time, it's almost invariably with a smile. And that's a rare commodity sometimes with teenagers. But I'm pleased because actually they are happy and proud to be part of a school where every day they can walk in to feel valued and to really engage with it. We got 6 one-hour lessons each day. We run a 2-week timetable to optimise the teaching and learning. And of course, that also enhances the number of subject choices they can have. But conscious of travel distances also, after period 1 in the morning, which is an hour long, the students can then refuel before going on to 2 further lessons before lunch. Lunch, again, another important time for our students to get a little bit of downtime, and we've got some excellent caterers. And I often sit down and have lunch with the students too, and that's a really nice way of keeping in touch with them and understanding about what their individual journeys are. And that during that lunch hour, we might have assemblies, we might have clubs, societies. Sometimes they go off to Rocks Lane, which is a local area where they can go and run around and take part in some games and things. But our aim is to maximise during the day that interface between the vocational and the academic delivery. And that's at the heart of what we do. And for year 7 to 11 students, that's typically 70% of their time spent doing academic matters and 30% of it doing the vocational pathway of their choice. Then there's additional study skills, choir, music lessons, etc. For the 6th form, it's a bit different. For the 6th form, it's, although it has the same structure, the content will differ depending on which pathway they're on.
And you mentioned there the downtime that they have, which obviously is vital within any setting. But here, obviously, they're putting a lot of their emotional and physical energy into their lessons. And it's wonderful that you spend time with them during the lunch period as well. Do they have that kind of relationship with all the staff?
Our staff know our pupils. It's a very small pupil body. And the student to staff ratio is really good. So our staff know our students. That enables us to support them on their individual journeys, but also enables them to have a genuine engagement with staff, which is one that, whilst it can never be one of equals, it can be one of mutual respect. And that's something which I suspect we'll touch on later.
And you mentioned also sort of like that their time is split obviously between their academic and their vocational lessons. Have you learned anything about structuring the school day so that the performing arts is really complementing rather than competing with traditional subjects?
Yes, I think for us it begins with the professional etiquette that we start off with at every student's start to their journey here. And that highlights our expectations, and those are based upon industry standards, but they're tailored to each of the different key stages here, so they understand. It sharpens the student's attention and focus, and these high levels of professionalism are then carried out in both the classrooms and the studio. The timetable and the shape of the day are built to enable students to have regular transitions between the vocational and academics, because that enables a much better engagement by the individual students, and learning is much deeper as a result of that. And this increases the benefits of the performing arts within the learning environment, and that creativity and focus that they invest in their vocational lessons is then, if you like, transferred directly into the other areas of the curriculum. So it's a win-win situation across that.
And obviously with creativity and confidence being at the heart of what you do, vital for the students that you have, how do you really nurture those qualities with your students beyond what they're just doing in class?
At ArtsEd, we strive to embed learning of the arts across, I'll start that again, but at ArtsEd we strive to embed the arts within all learning that we do. So for example, in geography, the students might create three-dimensional artwork to illustrate key concepts. In history, students might create a film of their own making. They do presentations, they'll do artwork, and you'll perhaps later on we'll show you inside the history room, which is an excellent environment where there is a focus on young people developing their artistic talents, but at the same time recreating and understanding how key figures in history, who are represented by eggs in different formats, really have shaped the world as it is today. And these activities allow the students to connect with themes in the classroom, but also to be able to use their creativity. And actually students who arrive here never having enjoyed history, for example, actually very quickly become something of a real passion for the subject. Music's integrated within French lessons routinely, especially at the younger age. Art history, use concepts of classical studies. In fact, we'll switch that around. So, for example, ancient history and classical civilization, we use areas from art history in those to illustrate the particular learning points. In English, it's very easy. Plays and texts, they can be acted out. And indeed, some of the students will be doing plays and things that they might either have been on stage here with, or indeed been on the professional stage in doing. And that's great for us to do that. And as I said earlier, if you look at what we do in film studies, some of the students who might well have been involved in a Netflix production or something like that, you will find that they will be drawing that into their studies as well.
We've spoken quite a lot about the ArtsEd curriculum, and it really does, doesn't it, combine sort of world-class vocational training with really strong academics and pastoral care. How do you see that balance preparing students for both a stage career or possibly other professional pathways?
Yes, I think that, for us, the vocational training creates unique opportunities for students to work with experts in their field. Academic teachers will attend their performances as well, and that provides a greater insight for them of the whole person. But this enables the building of highly effective adult-student communication and relationships in a way that develops an increased understanding and actually mutual respect, which is at the heart of that. And as they move through the school, the students will acquire the knowledge and confidence to make informed decisions about the future, because they're ready for the next step, whatever that might be. Uniquely at ArtsEd, the strong academic curriculum and the vocational training mean that our students can either continue within the performing arts sector or seek alternative options either within secondary education at the end of year 11 or indeed into higher education. Conscious of that, we have a significant number of students who are represented by agents here. They will have professional work within the industry. We have an industry liaison who works very closely with students and their families to ensure that the work is appropriate, to ensure the right guidelines are followed by the industry itself so that we support them, but also to ensure that the students' academic work at the same time is maintained and supported. We'll always consider any request to miss school for such work, but all aspects of the student's progress are considered before any agreement's given. But we realise that they're on this journey and we really want to support them. And in terms of looking post year 13 and what they go on to after that, our training here is recognised nationally and internationally. It's current, it's relevant, and it's world class, and that's reflected in the destination of this year's leavers. So 60% progressed to conservatoires in the UK, 8% to conservatoires overseas, 12% went to universities on performing arts courses. Several students went straight into the industry directly from year 13. 5% are studying at top university on non-performing arts courses. So, for example, English at Edinburgh, a notoriously challenging subject to get into, but those pathways are open. And then the remainder of our students are actually all actors on the BTEC acting course. And if those of people who understand the performing arts world will know that RADA and places like that like students to be going there at age 19 rather than at age 18. So there's a bridging year, which we do some support for the students during that year, ready for them so that they can start in a year's time. So actually, all our students post year 13 have progression routes, whatever route they've been on through the school. And this is the kind of launchpad that ArtsEd provides because of the high quality of education that we're offering.
And that's real security, isn't it, for the students who join you at whatever stage within the school. And I know we've already touched a little bit on this about performance instilling qualities like resilience and empathy and sort of teamwork. Which of these qualities do you think most defines an ArtsEd student, and how does it shape the wider school culture?
We expect our students to take responsibility for their education right from day one, to be an active participant in it, not just to be a passenger. They're responsible for their destiny and they take that responsibility early. That means they acquire quite early on that self-discipline, that drive, that resilience through their involvement in the performing arts. And then that follows directly into their academic studies too. And that's so important. This confidence builds self-efficacy. It enables them to take ownership of their learning and to achieve at the highest levels in all areas of the curriculum. In performance, students are taught to be active listeners, and that transfers into the classroom. They're also increasingly reflective and able to answer questions in a reasoned and balanced way rather than making quick responses to things. Through the performing arts, they also develop a range of skills, such as problem solving, communication, creativity, teamwork, and those skills are then clearly transferred into their academic work as well. And they gain that sense of accomplishment. And that, of course, builds improved self-confidence, which helps to motivate them to their academic goals as well. We see improvements in cognition, in executive attention, and self-discipline as they become increasingly able to process material, to retain information by having ability to have visual, aural, kinesthetic learning styles which are adopted in all areas of the curriculum that we have here. And of course that results in increased focus, as we've said earlier, on their academic studies. It is enhanced by the creativity, the critical thinking, problem solving, and that capacity to apply their learning to new situations. So performing arts students here have that ability to act swiftly if necessary because they've learnt it, to the dynamic situations that they might experience on stage when something doesn't happen in the way they'd expect it to. But of course, they're the professional. They can take control of the situation. The show must go on.
Indeed. And obviously there's a positive emphasis on individual pathways. Mm-hmm. So with that, how do you foster a sense of community among students when they're pursuing such demanding training?
At ArtsEd, there are typically about 40 different performance productions each year, and many of those have multiple different performances too. And that requires consistency, that requires professionalism. Performance opportunities, of course, will enhance students' teamwork and leadership skills, and they also promote a sense of community through a shared spirit and encourage students' motivation to learn as well. Creating a piece of performance art requires research, exploration, planning, experimentation, development, refinement, adaptation, and then rehearsal. to bring it all about that improvement that's necessary before it's seen by anyone's eyes. And as you walk around here later, you'll hear elements of that with people rehearsing and taking the early stage along that route. This level of attention to details, self-reflection, discipline and determination are intrinsic within what we do here day in, day out. Students grow in responsibility for themselves, but also in responsibility for others too, becoming dependable and also in turn expecting the same from their peers as well. A performing arts curriculum enhances a student's ability to communicate, to share ideas, to socialise with their peers, to empathise with them, and also in the process, of course, increase their self-confidence. But this shared organisational skills become highly developed, and those ensure, of course, that they're punctual, their ability to dig deep, to work to deadlines. Cross-age examples exist all the time. So yesterday we had our open day where we had arguably 500 people through the doors, a number of different shows, and we had people of all ages on stage, sometimes at the same time. And that requires teamwork, and that's not teamwork which is the older students expecting to have all the limelight or the older students dominating. This is about respect and mutual respect with different individuals being able to achieve and to demonstrate their skills with the respect of others. And that idea of teamwork means that it breaks down social hierarchy that can often be found in schools, and it prepares them for a future where they'll need to have those elements of being able to get on with everybody in order to be successful.
And you talking about sort of success, I mean, we've already mentioned your sixth form, which is incredibly successful. What options are available in terms of sort of A-levels and BTEC diplomas for those students?
Okay, so our sixth form experience is arguably as close as you're ever going to get to a conservatoire style education. We share our building, as you've seen, with the higher education students, and that creates an inspiring professional atmosphere. And we engage with those leaders within there to enable our students here to have a good understanding of what the future routes through to conservatoires and indeed to higher education or indeed professional work that can augment the work that we do here. They're taught, of course, by passionate and experienced professionals, but they choose here to follow either an A-level pathway or a BTEC pathway. Now, the BTEC pathway is the National Extended Level 3 Diploma in Performing Arts Practice, which is the equivalent of 3 A-levels. So the maximum you can get on that is D star, D star, D star. And that would be the equivalent of 3 A stars. It's got exactly the same UCAS points as the A-level programme. So for us, they can follow either the BTEC route, and if they wish to choose an additional A-level as well, they can do that to complement their studies. And it's interesting here that we have a number of students who choose to do A-level maths alongside the BTEC pathway. Some choose to complement it by doing something like film studies or English language, but there's English literature. But of course, there's a wide variety that they can choose from. But we don't do all the A-level subjects that some schools do. We just don't have the capacity to do that. The BTEC in musical theatre, acting and dance are the 3 pathways that we offer. They're discrete pathways, but there's a lot of crossover between them. And our students here are very much an homogenous group. So the A-level students are very much engaging with the BTEC students and vice versa. And I can sit down to lunch with a group of students, and there's almost 100% of the time there's going to be a mix of those on the different pathways within the BTEC route and indeed those who are on the A-level pathway. And that is truly showing the level of engagement they have across those different pathways.
And for some schools who might be listening that don't have the same scale of facilities or specialist staff that you have, what do you think are the most impactful ways they could bring performing arts into their curriculum?
Yes, I think even without specialist staff or large facilities, schools can embed the arts meaningfully by integrating them into everyday learning. Drama can be brought in through literature and indeed also to history. You can you can include drama within a history lesson to enable things to be enacted. Of course, that helps students to explore characters, it enables them to explore emotions, and indeed context too. Music and movement, again, support language development and well-being, especially in younger students too. Visual arts offer a powerful way to express ideas across many, many subjects, whether it's illustrating scientific concepts, exploring cultural themes, or indeed responding to current events that are happening either nationally or internationally. Schools can also, I think, tap into local resources. So, for example, inviting in community artists, collaborating with nearby schools, or using digital platforms to access performances, exhibitions and workshops. Ultimately, though, it's about fostering that idea of creativity, confidence and collaboration, skills that enrich learning and support personal development, regardless of the scale on which they're implemented.
So do you feel that could be affected also with some of the smaller schools that have limited resources, this crossover effect? Would that work with them too?
I think so, and I think at Arts Ed here we strive to embed arts within all the learning that we do, and you've heard earlier about geography, students creating 3D artwork. That's a concept which could quite easily be adopted, and I'm sure is adopted in other schools in history. The students create films, short films, presentations, artwork in response to research or analysis of events. It is something which I believe strongly is possible, and it's a state of fundamentally a school making those decisions. Smaller schools can harness the crossover effect of the arts by embedding creative practices in the core subjects, as we've been talking about here. Skills developed through visual and performing arts, such as critical thinking.
Sorry, you just covered your mic with your sleeve. I'm sorry. Can you do that
Have
again?
fun. Smaller schools can harness the crossover effect of the arts by embedding creative practices in core subjects. Skills developed through visual and performing arts, such as creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration and communication. Of course, those are all things that we want our students to be able to do, and they translate directly into academic success. Visual arts can support spatial reasoning in maths or deepen understanding of science processes through drawing and through modelling. Drama and music, of course, enhance literacy, memory, emotional intelligence. Even with limited resources, I'm sure that schools can flex and use flexible spaces to repurpose materials and encourage interdisciplinary projects as well. But I think that's at a sort of a teaching level, but I think you can do these things also at a leadership level too, and we're conscious here how the Arts Ed curriculum supports the joining together of the vocational and the academic. And here we also support that through cognitive learning programs and development. And also we do this at a leadership level with heads of department in the vocational areas and the academic areas being paired together so that they can bring key aspects of their skills to bear to the other areas of the curriculum. And this has brought significant benefits to the students and indeed the teachers of these departments, as learning strategies are shared, developed and enhanced across all areas, rather than just living in silos.
And with that sort of crossover from department to department, that really supports the well-being of the students as well and the staff, which is something here at Arts Ed is taken very seriously. Can you talk about how you support students navigating the intensity of arts and academic training?
Pastoral care team here is essential, and it's part of what we do day in, day out, dedicated to the support of the well-being and indeed the development of the students. Happy young people are the best learners. That's what we know. And we have this right from the word go with our tutor groups, which are a focal point of life at Arts Ed. They meet at least twice a day. Those are touch points between the students and the staff. You can sense well-being, but also you can have deeper one-to-one discussions as well. Those pastoral check-ins are really important with tutees, and they're things that happen either, as we say, through the tutor group sessions or indeed on one-to-one sessions when you can sense, because our class sizes are small, you can sense that something's just not quite right, or indeed somebody needs extra challenge, stimulation and stretch as well. Challenges and opportunities, big and small, they're discussed with the young people. We also build into this as they come across key points in their lives, additional support. So going through year 10 and into year 11, when a number of our students will be considering whether they're going to stay with Arts Ed or move on. And for us, students staying at Arts Ed from year 11 into year 12, that's by audition only. So for some of our students, that onward retention into Arts Ed is not something which they will continue. For others, their strengths lie in other subjects. For example, we've had students go off and read double maths, physics and chemistry, and then achieve some outstanding results, going off to Oxbridge and other leading institutions to do STEM subjects, which we just don't do here. But they have a mentor, and that mentor enables them to understand what education post year 11 could be for them, help them make the right decisions and support them. As they go through year 12 and into year 13, there's a lot of work that's done there, helping young people to understand what auditions are, what the world of work will be like, but principally about helping them to be ready for those all-important audition processes at conservatoires. And also learning to cope with rejection, because that is a challenge for young people, because they're not always going to get the first job that they walk into, and agreed that's going to be very, very rare. So it's about understanding how they respond to those, how they pick themselves up, how they develop themselves. So not only do they have a tutor, they have a professional mentor who is in the area of their particular interest to support them with that.
And does that mentoring system help students manage to balance their academic workload with rehearsals and performances, or is that more in the role of the tutor?
It's across everybody, because all staff here understand the importance of both aspects of the curriculum. The Arts Ed curriculum is key to this. We place equal weight on both those areas. So if someone's underperforming in one rather than the other, that's something which we seek to address. It's not performance at the expense of everything else. Indeed, performance would stop if that was the case. The senior leadership team here crafts the performance schedules with the academic staff as well, so that we know exactly what's going on. There are clear protocols to ensure that the workload on students is managed, it's capable, it's able for them to achieve. But that doesn't mean it's easy. It's tough, it's hard, but it's doable. And the resilience they learn through this is really important. So I'll give you an example. At the end of this term, we have the musical showcase. Out of 280 pupils in the school, we have 240 who will be on stage on one evening throughout the 4 or 5 performances that we'll run at the end of term. And that's in the first week of December. At the same time, we also have our half-termly, you have to cut this in, our half-termly review weeks. And those half-termly review weeks are mini tests which look at the work that they've been covered in the classroom over the previous 4 to 6 weeks. We don't stop those assessments in the final week of term. So a new member of the maths staff saw her students in her classes in the performances at 9 o'clock the night before. The next morning, she saw them at 9 o'clock in the morning in her class doing those tests, and then again in those performances in the evening. That is about resilience. That is about them understanding the professionalism that goes with it, and that is about them being able to be able to achieve that, because it is doable. So for us, it is about balancing it, but it's also about making sure that it is something which everybody here understands the relevance and the importance of both areas of the curriculum.
And obviously, as an independent school, we have the freedom to innovate. How does this flexibility allow Arts Ed to really shape not just sort of the skilled performers, but also the well-rounded individuals who thrive both on the stage and in life?
Yes, the day school here, which is for our years 7 to 11, approximately 70% of their time is in the academic area of the Arts Ed curriculum, 30% on their vocational pathway, which at year 7 is either the dance pathway or the acting pathway. And then when they go into year 9, when they start their GCSE programs in year 9, there's the additional opportunity then for them to take the musical theatre pathway as well. They will study for 9 GCSEs, and that includes either dance or drama as one of those GCSEs, And of course, there's the core subjects of both Englishes, maths, and the science that they all do, with the additional choices of subject. For us, it's important that we give free choice to the subjects as much as possible. That gives the Director of Studies an absolute nightmare in terms of timetabling and in terms of doing the options. But where possible, we'll enable that to happen, because we know this is about individualising the learning for each one of our students. But of course, in the sixth form, our students take a quantum leap. And that quantum leap in their engagement with the performing arts reflects that, and indeed complements their career aspirations. So there, the choice of learning pathways is key, their ability to do the BTEC, and it is that BTEC Level 3 Extended Diploma, which is of industry standard, that enables them then to be able to go on to areas within the industry. But equally well, it keeps those options open for them to go off into do traditional degree courses at mainstream universities, or indeed to branch into other careers as well. So for us, it is about enabling those opportunities. It is about each student being on a pathway which we can individualise for them. And that ability for them to choose those subjects, for us to be creative and to take, particularly the GCSE over 3 years, is really important.
And have you seen any sort of major challenges within the performing arts education, or have there been any particular opportunities that you've noticed?
I think if you look at it on the national stage here, and without trying to in any way be political in this, I think one of the greatest challenges of the performing arts education is the persistent lack of funding and the equitable access, particularly for underrepresented communities. Curricula often lag behind industry developments. There's a failing to integrate digital technologies and contemporary practices. However, these challenges also should represent significant opportunities for people too. Digital innovation can, of course, broaden access and engagement, while curricular reform can foster inclusivity and also better prepare students for evolving creative industries and the careers that they have within them. But I also feel that the drive to deliver measurable examination results that schools have is a driving factor as well. And that, coupled with the pressure on resources, mean that schools prioritise areas in the curriculum which have immediate and tangible outlets, like GCSE grades, like A-level grades. And having the confidence to take the time within the curriculum to include the arts, to include the performing arts as part of the curriculum and within it, and to use those transferable skills which they will develop through that, through the other taught academic areas, will be of significant benefit to the young people. That has little or no cost, and those approaches, I believe, can be adopted by all schools and all teachers in the routine delivery of the curriculum, and those will have a beneficial effect on the achievements of the learners, of the students.
And that's the wonderful thing about being independent, is you have the opportunities to do those things.
Absolutely.
Now, we're starting our tour of your school here in your office, and I can tell just from being in here, it's in the centre of the building. Is that a deliberate choice by you?
For me, it's absolutely at the heart of where a head teacher's office should be. At the heart of the school, I can see everything that's going on outside my study.
You've got a big window here.
Yeah, and that's great, because I can see the students. It's a very natural involvement. They're used to me being here, seeing what's going on, transparent leadership, if you like, at its best. But equally well, I'm in touch with what's going on there. I can feel everything that's going on. There is a buzz, there's an energy. And in the holidays when I'm here and they're not here, the lifeblood of the school's gone, and this really is a very, very dead place. This gives excitement, it gives relevance to what we're doing day in, day out, even if it means that there's a tap class above me and I really can't do the Teams call that I'm on at that moment. Love, they say, makes you pine away, but you will pine away with an idiotic grin, with an idiotic grin. These are small bubbles we do them up.
you've obviously got talented staff who can actually illustrate and demonstrate what they're asking the students to do.
So Ian there came straight out of the industry, coming to support our students, so it's great that he's very much there as part of the team, assisting and supporting, and that there is a group of students who are preparing for a production, but at the same time also preparing for individual auditions as well.
Very talented. I love the fact he actually had the expression on his face while he was singing.
That's all part of it.
Yes.
That's part of they take on the persona of the and it's not just about singing. That's not musical theatre.
Yeah. As we're walking down all the corridors, we've got these wonderful murals and photographs. Are these of the students?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And these are in some of the previous shows, which were done obviously a couple of years ago when they put this sort of School of Rock. And then you'll see others, just this one here in rehearsal in their blacks.
And does that make a difference to the students seeing these up on? Because obviously it makes a huge difference to the atmosphere of all the corridors and the communal spaces. Does it?
I think it makes a living environment. This is what they're used to, and I think if you put this up in any other school, they wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. These are probably 5 years old now, and they're almost as if they're new, and that's the level of respect that people bring to the environment, and actually they can see, and I think that's part of it. But it does bring life to it, and it's part of what they do day in, day out.
And in a sense, preparing them for that as they go into the industry, because obviously there would be a lot of images and posters and media.
Yeah, they do a lot of work on that in the BTEC course in terms of what to expect and in terms of how they prepare their own media profiles, image, what that means and things like that. So that's an integral part of the whole of the BTEC, because it's intended to ensure that they are ready to go to the industry if that's where they wanted to be.
Do you have a uniform?
Yes, you've seen it. Black. With the Arts Ed on. But if they're dancers, they'll be in their leotards or whatever it might be, or stuff. So out here you've got a girl who's a dancer, so she's in a black cut top.
Right.
But it's...
Is it just that it has to be black, but it can be anything?
No, if they're in the day school in sixth form, it's like that there, which is the Arts Ed hoodies and tracksuit bottoms. That's what's expected. And of course, that means that they're comfortable, they can get on and do what they need to do, and it means that you haven't got a whole load of students walking around in white clothes that are black all the time and dirty. It's functional, and it's a kind of you're in your working ethic.
Yeah. It's also quite fashionable, isn't it, to be honest, that kind of clothing and style.
Well, it certainly is. If you compare to what this place was like only 10 years ago with the uniform then, that was a very different and actually not practical for doing what we're doing now. And that means very much that you'll be wearing that uniform whether you're in your vocational class or whether you're in your academic lesson. So that element of feeling as if you're in the working clothes that you are here for is very much part of that ethos.
Now, as we wrap up our walk today, how would you sum up the unique blend of arts and academics here at Arts Ed?
It's got to be that we're a small school with some exceptional opportunities for those aiming for a career in the performing arts, but also those who want academic excellence that will enable them to either have a career in the performing arts or indeed have a career elsewhere. This means that, coupled with outstanding pastoral care, they really are able to achieve some outstanding things. We really know our children, they really can be themselves, and that means they can develop those individual talents, those individual skills, and be ready for the next stage, whatever that takes them to. But as you've seen, this is a very exciting, positive, buzzy, but also a supportive place.
And for anyone who's listening who wants to learn more or even visit the school, what's the best way for them to do that?
Easiest way is to go and visit the website, www.artsed.co.uk. Book a visit. We'd be delighted to show you around any time. We've just had our open day yesterday for both the day school and the sixth form, but that doesn't mean that we don't welcome you to come and visit other times. We have visits throughout the week, and then that we have auditions that happen in November, and then again in January and February. So if you'd like to come and visit us, we'd welcome that. Please come and see us.
This has been such an insightful walk and a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much, Peter, for sharing all about Arts Ed, the unique curriculum that you present here for your students, and the way your school really nurtures creativity and the confidence which is evident as we're walking around, as well as academic excellence in its students. Thank you so much.
Well, Helen, thank you for coming.
To our listeners, if today's conversation has sparked your interest, do subscribe, explore past episodes, and join us again for future discussions on innovative approaches to education and the arts. Until then, stay curious, stay connected.
You've been listening to Independently Speaking, the podcast of the Independent Schools Association. For more information about ISA and the schools we support, please visit isaschools.org.uk.